Hey, you're on the mic with the Pascal Show. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Tammy. I'm calling from Tennessee. It's Chef Apples 97 in the chat.
Thank you,
I
Tammy.
do.
Tammy, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for calling.
I've been a fan of yours for years.
Thank you, Tammy. Tammy, thank you so much. What's on your mind? Speak on it.
I can honestly say that with the right therapy, because mine happened when I was 5, but I was never tied up.
Gotcha.
It took me till 48 to stop blaming myself, but I have never laid a hand on my child, grandchildren, anything. These kids can survive, but they will never forget this monster. I can say my something of a father is dead, and he crashed into a wall, and I rejoiced that day.
Man. Well, first off, I appreciate you sharing your story here. And I know that, okay, it is very young. 5 years old is very young, but it still had a lasting effect on you. And, I look at that and I say, well, I'm glad that you found a way to not continue to blame yourself. You see what I'm saying? And what was it?
Yes,
what was it that made you change that perspective from, blaming yourself to actually looking at the man who was the monster in your life?
They had diagnosed me because of trying to kill myself at 6 with manic depression. This was in the 70s. But at 48, they finally put me in PTSD therapy. And I got to beat the stuffing. And I had a counselor literally telling me, treat me like I'm your dad, he said.
Yeah.
I almost punched him, and he said he was going to let me. But at that moment, I took my power, and I threw his away.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
And
but that was how
this case just brings back so much.
How old were you when that happened? Like when you finally were able to relinquish your own power?
48 years old.
48.
48.
So
yes, because my dad's side of the family and my mom blamed me when the SWAT team came in and found my dad on top of me with a pillow over my face and doing what he was doing to me.
Yeah.
My mom had a psychotic break. So her mom blamed me for that. My dad's family blamed me for him going to prison.
Tammy,
So my whole life, it was my fault.
I'm so sorry.
But they need to be taken away from both parents. My mom did not know what was going on because he'd wait till she'd be at work.
And this was going on for how many years? Do you know? Do you remember?
Since I can remember.
Wow. Wow.
We know it was before the age of 3. But he told me I was the devil. He tried to drown me. He told my best friend the day the SWAT team came, her dad worked for DCF back then. He told her that she was going to find me the next morning in the cemetery outside my bedroom window. And she ran home, told her mom. Her mom called her dad at work.
Yeah.
And 30 minutes later, the SWAT team came and saved my life.
Well, thank God for that. I mean, thank God for that.
Yes. And we're still best friends almost 50 years later.
That's amazing. She's
my angel. Her and her dad are my angel.
You know, one thing is that there's a lot of people that are not as lucky, to have that kind of angel coming in, or that help, that refuge, to come out and get you out of a bad situation. And, I commend you for just acknowledging it and being able to transcend from it, and not passing on that that I feel like it's like a virus, right? That generational virus,
Yes, sir.
passing it on to your children and your children's children. So I commend you for, finding a way to come to terms with it, finding your own power, and of course letting go of that self blame and that self hate. Because I know that, I mean, can I ask you if it's okay? Did you did you did you find yourself leaning on any type of I don't know, any specific vices or anything of that sort, or was it just depression and self hate?
It was, I didn't have depression. It was just self hate. But I knew at 12 I was diagnosed with leukemia, and my mother and her mother instilled in me, God doesn't give you nothing that won't make you a stronger person. Everything he does is for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And since then to this day, because I now have a stranger, she was a stranger 15 weeks ago, living with me because I have an extra bed. And I have always, since my brother says 7, have always helped others.
Yeah.
Because I knew what God wanted me to do, but I couldn't stop blaming myself.
Yeah.
No matter how much I love the Lord or anything, I blamed, because it was drilled in you your whole life. But now that they're away and they're in foster care, that's the best thing for them children.
Yeah.
Not to have contact from any of them families. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, I just have to say, I mean, I just, man, I'm sorry. It's just a lot to consume all at once. But I do appreciate you, sharing this information, you know. Um,
well, I can now talk about it.
No, I understand that, and it does take time, right? Were you?
Yes, sir.
Were you getting counseling immediately after this happened, when your father was caught, or is this like multiple years later you sought out counseling?
I started getting counseling when I was 6 and tried to kill myself because I thought I was the devil.
You were 6?
And that's when I was 6.
Whoa. Oh my Lord.
But I have never done it again.
Of course. Thank God.
But that's when the counseling started. And I have to say, I'm in my 50s and I'm still in counseling. Because I'm scared if I stop, I'll start blaming myself again, and I won't let that happen.
Yeah.
But I want all the people on your show to know that with counseling, they won't forget, but they can overcome and they can break this cycle.
You're absolutely right.
I don't ever want people to say they're doomed. We're scarred, but we're not doomed.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. But I think that there's not a lot of people. I think nowadays maybe things are a little bit different because the times have changed. But I think it still can be very hard to find people cheering for you in your corner, especially if they don't know what's going on. It can be very hard for people to know if they should be there to be that shoulder to lean on, or that ear to listen to listen to your problems, etc. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So I think it's really important that, I'm really happy that times have changed in that way, and so
counseling is now not a taboo.
No, it's not. It's not. It doesn't automatically mean that you're, lost your marbles or anything like that anymore. I think is incredibly crucial. But I also do think it's important that people know and have some sort of sensitivity towards people who have gone through things as well, because sometimes you can go to a counselor all day long but still walk back out into the world and still feel absolutely alone. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
um
did that. I did that for years until they decided a doctor reassessed me
right.
and was like, "You've never had a manic. You've never had a depression. You have to." But it used to be, I hear a man yelling,
Right.
I'd run for dear life, or because the SWAT team came in masks and stuff. They look in the 70s. They look like them underwater divers,
Hmm.
and they never took their mask off even till they got to the hospital when the social worker came. If I see a ton of police, I get scared.
Right.
So he reassessed me and said, "Well, in the 70s, only if you were in war were you diagnosed with PTSD." And since I started getting the right treatment, I now know it wasn't me. I was the child. I was the little girl. He was the grown up.
Yeah, it's I see what you're saying, and of course, as you get older, I know that that that's what happened to you, as a child. But I'm sure those things that trigger you, you may not fully understand right off the bat. Like, why am I getting so anxious when I see a bunch of cops, a gathering of cops, or why do I get the fear or the anxiety of wanting to run away when I hear a man yelling? Were you able to connect those things right off the bat, or were you still kind of trying to figure out what the connection was and why you were reacting in that
When
way?
I turned 50, when I turned 50 is when I had a really bad experience. My grandson was playing baseball,
Yeah.
and he was playing against a team that's all parents were from the police department here. And I had to run to my car. And the next day, I called my therapist, and she said, "Come in, please." And I went in, me, her, and my other counselor talked. And he's like, "Now, remind me what happened." And I told him, and he's like,
Yeah.
"It's your PTSD. You're having severe anxiety when this happens." And now I can see, when I see a bunch of them, I know. "Excuse me, officers, I have to walk away." And I do. I don't need anxiety medicine or any of that anymore.
That's great.
I know what's triggering it, and I can walk away.
That's incredible. So you're not on,
Yeah.
so no Lexapro, no other types of medication at all.
Yes, no,
Wow.
no, sir. Well,
That's
I
incredible.
do have clonidine. It's the mildest dosage. And if I have to go in an MRI machine or stuff like that, I know to take one. So I don't flip out and rip that headpiece they put over your head off again.
Yeah.
And if things get real stressful, like I see a fight or something, I know you need to take your medicine so you don't go ballistic and hide in the corner. But that's all I'm on.
Yeah.
And I maybe take one every 2 weeks.
Yeah. Wow. I mean,
But I've never turned to drugs, alcohol, none of that.
well, I mean, it obviously shows to me how resilient you are, and not every, and I have to say this too, not every person that deals with CA or A turns to chemicals for as a vice, but we do hear a lot of those stories, of course, those kind of
Yeah,
tragic
and
stories,
if you
but
say if you say you have PTSD, this is still a stigma. People automatically think you're on drugs.
True.
Or you're an alcoholic. That's not true.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. But Tammy, I do appreciate you calling in. I want to say, first off, it takes a lot of guts to talk and say this out to the family.
Oh yeah, I was scared you were going to hang up on me, and everybody in the chat was going to hate me.
No, of course not. No, 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 not at all. Never, never. Okay, never. Okay, you'd have to do the complete antithesis, the complete opposite, for me to hang up on you. Okay, but I do appreciate you telling us your story. And it also, I think, gives a lot of people that have gone through trauma like you some semblance of hope that there is a place where you can find balance emotionally and mentally as well, and find strength within yourself. The fact that you said that for years, decades even, you were saying you were blaming yourself, and the fact that through counseling you were able to say, wait a second, I'm going to regain my strength back and let go of my monster of a bad energy, and relinquish that self disappointment, right? It gives a lot of people some serious hope, seriously. So I appreciate you, Tammy, for saying everything right now. It really means a lot.
You're more than welcome. I just wanted to, because a lot of people in the chat saying they destroyed. They didn't destroy. They hurt and were damaged, but were not destroyed. We have hope.
You're right. There is always hope. I couldn't agree more. Tammy,
yes, sir.
Thank you so much for calling. All right. You stay blessed. We'll see you in the chat. But again, thank you so very much for the call. It really means a lot.
You're more than welcome. God bless.
You too, sweetheart. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. I think I'm going to close the call-in segment now. I think that was solid. The phone calls have been fire lately. And it's not like, and I don't mean that in any type of way. I'm just saying, I just appreciate you guys. I really do. So when we get these phone calls, especially, and all of them have been fire, all of them are amazing. But when we get to hear a story of somebody being able to transcend from the CA that they've experienced, I'm hoping that the people who are literally enduring it right now, the ones that are surviving or who are survivors, okay, right now, that are listening right now, I hope every single last one of y'all heard that phone call. Yes, it took years of her blaming herself, saying it was her fault, self-hate and all that. But she was able to transcend through that. Yes, it took time, but she still kept going at it. She kept working at it. And I think that's something that we all should be taking with ourselves as well. Even for those of us who just are dealing with any type of other mental health, any other types of mental health issues, from depression to anxiety to PTSD on other things. If you keep working at it, it'll eventually work. And we have to believe that as well. And I'm hoping that when it comes to Ruby Franke's kids, man, I wish they could hear this conversation, right? I wish they could hear that phone call and know that, yes, it may be a long journey. It may be a short journey towards forgiveness of oneself and eradicating the negative thoughts that you have in your mind on thinking that, oh, it's my fault that this happened. No, I am evil. Oh, no, I am the devil, right? maybe it will be a short journey. Either way, I hope that they're having people like Tammy in their lives that can push them or at least lead them down the right path towards self acceptance and strength.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.